You're listening to the Tongue-in-Cheek podcast. I'm Emma.
And I'm Gabby, and we're two girls having casual conversations.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Tongue-in-Cheek podcast. You're here with Gabby and Emma. How are you doing, Gab?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great.
That's good. That's great.
Slowly getting cabin fever.
I know. I had like kind of a bad day yesterday. So, you know, when you have a bad day, like the next day is always bound to be
Better.
good.
For sure. I feel
and
like
I used the bad day mug.
Aw, that bad day mug comes in handy. Yeah.
It does.
That's good. Yeah, no, I feel definitely like all days have just been kind of crappy. So if like the smallest little thing happens, like my blender came the other day and it was like the happiest thing ever. So I'm on a good note this week. So it's going well.
That's awesome. Nothing like a good blender.
I know.
I mean, it's the little things nowadays that just
I know. For real.
Are exciting. So since the days have been crappy, I mean, there's nothing like going on Reddit and laughing at people or laughing at other people's stupidity. So with that, I bring you this.
God. Two women fighting while river rafting. Okay. Oh shit. Do they know each other?
I'm assuming so.
Got her head in the water. She's like, bitch.
That would be scary.
I have so many questions. Why on the
And they keep going.
Why right now? What's going on, ladies? Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Wasn't that something?
I have so many questions.
Right? I'm assuming they know each other.
I get like, okay, but that's my thing. It's like if you know someone really well, why would you fight with them at that moment? And if you didn't know someone, you just wouldn't do something like some people, like this is when you watch things like that and you don't realize like people like that exist. Like you think it's a fun video, but like those people are real and did that. And I'm just like, what happened? Like something bad must have happened. And what did it like? Did some secret like come out on the river? And then it was just like, let's just.
But even so, like, what makes you think if you go river rafting, like this is the time to reveal this information?
I know, like you're literally like, that's an experience where you go to do it and everything cuts out and you're just like, I feel like you'd be so focused. It's like going down a water ride. You're like, or like having fun. You're not like, by the way, Gabby, I'm with your boyfriend. Like you wouldn't just
way.
Although maybe it was some like bonding trip or something. And then something, I don't know.
I know. I have a lot of questions as well. Maybe we can look more into like the comments and see if anyone's, you know, posted some details. But I guess this is kind of a funny topic because let's say you were river rafting with somebody. Like, what would you do if they literally revealed this information that pissed you off, or you guys just got into a fight over something? Like, how would you deal with it in that situation? Would you start like,
no, I would be like
the river
bitch and deal with it after. I wouldn't. It depends how bad it was. Like if it was something like I killed your dog, then yeah, I might try to kill you on good timing, good opportunity. But I'd probably just like hit you with the kayak and just like, you know, kayak or the paddle or whatever they use to. I don't know.
Yeah.
You think like. I don't know, some shit really must have had to go down to be like that. Cause usually like I'm classy. I wait till afterwards to deal with something like that.
If I was really pissed off in the middle, of a river raft, I would probably just be like, the whole time and wait till the end and then go for it. But could you imagine just
Going
like
down a white
up?
water river rafting while everybody's having a grand old time and you just be like this. Cold. Because at the same time, that's an experience. That's something you kind of put citizens for.
I know. And of course it depends on like what happened. Like if it was something petty, then whatever, just brush it off because I'm not about to fight somebody on the edge of a river. And that's also really dangerous. I feel like I'd be scared of falling off, but those women did not care. They were just going for it.
They must be sisters. I feel like that's something only siblings do. They don't really think about like the life threatening, like I don't know. I just feel like
If someone needs a beat down.
I just don't really think that way. I just feel like I don't really use physical force unless I was being attacked.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, growing up with siblings, like we would play fight all the time. Um, they were much older and bigger than me and stronger, so they would like, think it was playing, but for me it was just like
You're the chew toy.
literally. But I mean, I don't know. So I knew how to like play rough and you'd fight and like things would get out of hand. But yeah, so like I can throw a bitch down if I needed to. I just haven't really been in that situation where I've needed to, you know? But
Yeah.
eventually, like having like older brothers and stuff, like you have to, like you get pushed around. They don't know their strength, right? And so I remember my older brother, Eric, who were just like, we just like play fight. You just bump into each other, or like the whole like stop hitting yourself. Like we would do shit like that. It's the stupidest shit, but like my brother would do that all the time. He'd be like, grab your hand and be like, stop hitting yourself, stop hitting yourself. And but one day, like, or between him and Carly, they would like push me back and forth like I was like a human ping pong. And so,
Nice.
I don't know, being the youngest, you just kind of like deal with it. And it's funny, but then eventually like somebody misses and then you fly into a wall and then you hurt yourself and then you start to cry.
Yeah.
And, you break, like your tooth falls out or like, so much shit has happened like that. Oh my God, the stories. But I remember one time I was kind of like, I was probably like 14 by this time, and like Eric had gone to school and then he came back and we were just like messing around, like get out of my way. I don't even know what was happening. But then I turned around and I just pushed him and he like bounced back into the wall and he just looked at me. I was like, you've grown.
You're not little anymore.
Yeah, it was like, oh shit, you can handle your own if you needed to. And I was just like, yeah, I can slap a bitch down if I need to. Growing up with like people who played football and sports, like I don't know, get used to it. But I've never had to like use force.
Yeah. I've never really been in a physical altercation, but I have no doubts in myself that if I needed to.
Yeah, I could.
I think I could. I have enough weight behind me that I could.
But I would never just be like, oh my shit, like in a bar and get all like scrappy.
No.
I would only ever like do something like that if someone touched me or like came at me in a wrong setting or way, then I would just like, give them a warning.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Well, I remember in high school, I think I've told this story maybe on this podcast before, but in high school, like I saw so many fights go down where girls would be like taking each other by the hair and like dragging them across the ground, throwing each other into doors, like taking their heads, smashing against the knee, like some trashy shit.
I've never seen something like that, I don't think.
Oh, it's quite a sight.
You know what's weird though? I think just like, this is funny because I was talking about this with John last night. We were watching the Joe Rogan podcast and he's like, an MMA fighter and like all that stuff. So anyways, we were watching one of the videos. It was about like MMA fighting. And I don't know, it's just weird. I think because of what we're exposed to like through movies and TV shows, like you don't really realize like the impact of like we talked about this before. Like remember watching Vampire Diaries? Like they would just like rip out hearts every episode, or like, people would just be bleeding and dying, and you just become so immune to it because you see all this
Yeah.
shit. We become immune to violence that we don't actually realize what it's like to what that would actually be like to fight somebody. And so it's
Mhm.
funny because we were watching MMA, and I just thought it was so crazy of, oh shit, they're actually like, punching each other with nothing on it. And you don't really realize it because you're like, oh, I see this on TV. Like they're just fighting, whatever. But it's just so strange to like, you can't actually imagine it physically because we're just so used to just like seeing violence and it being kind
Mhm.
of normalized. But I could not imagine actually punching someone or like beating the shit out of people. I don't know. Like I grew up doing karate and like we would spar, but it was like you'd be wearing like headgear and stuff, to protect you. And it was like punching with sponges. It was fine. But like I couldn't imagine the actual impact of being on in a full on like fist fight with somebody. I really can't imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think I would ever initiate something unless someone came at me. It would have to be pretty bad for me to get into a fight with somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think most of the time I'd just be like, "Ugh, whatever, or talk shit
Yeah.
to the person. But like, yeah, I think it would be I for me, I would just be scared of my teeth and my hair.
Not my face.
Which
I know that's the thing. Like,
anywhere else.
I just couldn't imagine. Like I said, I did karate and I've done kickboxing and I like to box. Like John and I have been talking about joining like he wants to do like some street fighting shit. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that. I just want to go to like a boxing gym, just like hit a punching
Like
bag.
Zumba
Yeah, like so the
to
kickboxing
music.
is actually amazing cardio workout. Seriously. If you haven't done kickboxing in your life, do yourself a favor and take a class. It's amazing. But I actually do them, like, on YouTube now because, can't go to a gym. But I even love like, John and I were talking about getting, like, gloves or, like, the, pads to hit because it makes such a difference, like, punching something, but I couldn't imagine
Mhm.
that being someone's face. Like, it's different when you're,
No.
like, focused and punching a bag or, like, a hand mitt or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. But I think it's one of those things, like, if somebody were just to punch you, like, adrenaline just kicks in and you just, like I don't know. I think it's like your eyes just go blank and then you just so
Yeah.
if
In
some
the moment.
like, if somebody came up to you and just smacked you, I feel like you would be like, "What?" And then you would just instinct like, you would react.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so, especially if they smacked you and then stood there and expected more out of it. Like, do you remember when we were walking and that lady
Yeah.
who was kinda loony smacked John, and then she just kept walking? So it was kinda like,
You didn't have time to register. Yeah, like
yeah, you didn't have time to register and you didn't have time to, like, react because she was already gone by the time you figured out what had happened.
yeah,
But if someone like, there's somebody who lives outside my building, he's homeless, and every so often in the middle of the day, he'll literally start screaming into the universe. And then he'll go up to people and push them and scream in their
yeah,
face and be like, fight me, fight me. And I've seen a few times like people will push him back and like, okay, like you want to fight, like you're in my face about it, like let's go then, sort of thing. Like some guys that he goes up to. So I feel like in that instance, like, yeah, I'm gonna react. But like if somebody just kind of like does something then walks away, it's like,
yeah. I
you
don't
then.
think when to, like, instigate or continue a fight, but the thing is, like, if somebody like that, because I do for some reason, I think about that stuff when I'm, like, walking even to, like, your place, like, I do get worried because sometimes, like, homeless around here can be aggressive and they get right up in your
Mhm.
face, and that is
Yeah.
scary, like, if somebody comes up into your bubble or touches you, I think you have a right to be like, "No, back up." Like, I think if that
Yeah.
happened to me, I would, like, not aggressively, but just firmly, like, press away and be like, "Don't touch me or come near me," because that's,
Yeah.
like, your space, and that's, like, threatening.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if they have no reason to initiate something with you.
Yeah, and I find I have, like, the reflex like, the other week, I was I was writing a paper and I was just like very focused on what I was doing and I was trying to get like my thoughts out. So I was just thinking and I was just like quietly writing. And then John all of a sudden came up to me and he was so quiet. Like this man can be so quiet when he wants to be, when he's sneaking up on you. He came right up in my ear and he was like, "Hey." And I went, "Ah." And I just
Ah.
because I was so focused in what I was doing that I just reacted. Like I didn't expect it. And I was just like, "What the fuck?" And I just like backhanded him. And he was like, "Oh." Like, "I'm sorry, you scared the shit out of me." Like I was so focused on what I was doing. And he's like, "No, my bad. I shouldn't have come up on you." Like when you were focused. And like, you don't think of like what could just like trigger people. You come up like right in their ear and say something. It's like it was just like an instinct.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd like to think that I would be like that if, knock on wood, hopefully this never happens, but if an intruder were to ever come into the apartment,
Hmm.
like you'd have to be like on your game. Like, what if you're sleeping and then you heard somebody come in?
Oh,
My dad used to always sleep with a baseball bat beside the bed.
same with my grandpa.
And so, yeah, so I think like I definitely want to invest in something like that because I feel like
Mhm.
I don't know what I would do in that
Well,
instance.
so I have a shillelagh, which is an Irish walking stick, and I got it from my grandparents. It was from my grandpa, like we're Irish, and his it was I think from his grandma's or his aunt or someone, but it's been passed down in the family, and it's like this really cool like carved out like stick. It has like faces in it, and you've seen it. Like it's
Mhm.
very cool. But anyway, so it's decorative. Like my grandparents always left it kind of like leaning in the living room, but it's chiseled and has like a pointed end at the bottom. So I have it hung up in my hallway right in front of my bedroom. So my plan is it comes off the wall easy. So like if something ever happened, I would just run to the front door, grab the shillelagh, and that's my weapon.
Yeah,
So
that's a good one.
that's what I have as, like, protection right now, because like, the knives would be too far, because 'cause they're, like, right in the kitchen. But also,
Yeah, I was
John
gonna say
has
knives and
a
pots and pans.
John has a katana sword.
A what?
A katana sword, it's like a Japanese fighting sword. He used to do, like, sword lessons as a child. So it's like
Oh,
a full-on sword, and he, like, has it in the closet. So if we can't make it to the shillelagh because the person's right outside the door, then we get the katana. Maybe we should just keep that
interesting.
under the bed.
You should. As we're talking about this, I'm looking at
So you
my
can
candle
into the shit out of
holder.
people.
I could just stick somebody.
Oh, yeah, honestly, you can use anything really if you needed to. But you should get, like, something. But the thing about apartments is, like, I feel I don't wanna say this because this could be, like, bad to jinx it, but the chances of someone just coming into your apartment, if it's not, like, an accident or someone's just drunk and, like, walks into the wrong door and you leave your door unlocked, like, I don't know, it's pretty slim, like, no one's gonna let someone dodgy in. At least
Yeah.
my building is on some, like, tight shit, like, you can't just, like, walk in. So
Yeah. Our building is kind of loosey goosey, like as you know, like they open the door for you. They probably think you live here, but anyway.
yeah,
Yeah, they open
you
the
gotta
door
walk
for
in,
everyone
know
that's
where
come
you're
to
going.
visit us. Pardon?
You just gotta look like you know where you're going.
Well, exactly. But even when we've had friends over, like pre-COVID, of course, they just open the door for everyone, and nobody's ever had a problem. But at the same time, I really trust our building. Like, I don't know, we're at the very end of the hall, and I was thinking about this the other day. The thing I like about apartment buildings is nobody, like, it's more incognito. If somebody wanted to spy on you, they would actually have to follow you through your apartment building to see where you live. Where, like, when you live in a house, your neighbors know when you're home, when you're not home. They see the car in the driveway. People can just like be walking down the street and they see where you go into your house. Like, if you see someone going into an apartment building, there's thousands of options within that apartment building.
But the chances are people will hear you if there's something really wrong.
Exactly.
This is the thing, this is the issue with also living in the city and in apartments, is that sometimes you can't differentiate between like what's like a bad scream and a good scream. And this is like, we're very loud in our apartment and we're always goofing around being stupid. I'm like, people probably think like something insane is happening in here.
I always say
Like,
that
or
too.
like, I hear sometimes you'll hear like girls screaming or something, and then it ends up like, oh, a laugh carries on after that, and people are partying or whatever. And
Yeah.
it happened actually the other week or something. It was a Saturday night, and I was sleeping. This was like 1 in the morning or something, and I could kind of hear like screaming, and I thought, okay, maybe people are just like having a party. But I was like, but it's also COVID, so that's kind of weird. Um, but someone was like really screaming, and I was in and out of sleep, so I didn't think anything of it. And then I wake up and Carly comes into my room and she like steps out on the balcony to look, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, what is that? And then someone's like really screaming, and I don't know if there was like a domestic or what, but I looked outside my building, there were like cop cars everywhere,
Oh
and
my gosh.
hear her get put into a car, and then she was like smashing on the car door, and like it was so loud, it was insane like how much you could hear. But
Wow.
she sounded like really in distress. I don't know what was happening. Like it sounded like it was like an episode of some kind. I don't know. But yeah, it's really hard sometimes to tell, or you'll hear like screaming down the hallway, and like you think, okay, they're probably just like being silly or something. Like you can't really tell sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I give it a little bit, like if it's just one scream and like you said, laughter comes after it, whatever. But if you hear like, help me, like that sort of thing, then that's when I'm like, let's listen in on this. Like I've heard something like that before. Like we can hear like other people in other apartments sometimes, but like, yeah, one time we were walking down the hallway on a different floor. I think you might have been with us.
I remember
And
talking about it.
yeah, and this lady screamed in her apartment, and then she was saying along the lines of like, stop doing this to me, or don't do that to me, or something like that. And it sounded like she was kind of like fearful. So that's a little different, obviously.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's always best in those
yeah,
situations to like call your front desk and just be like, look, this is what I heard. I don't know what's going on. Maybe just
that's
go.
what we did.
And then
Yeah,
if they can decide, because 'cause they're the security, they can
yeah,
decide whether or not the police should be called, or, like, that situation,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
'Cause you never know
exactly.
if people are just, like, joking, or if it's just, like, things get taken out of context. If it's just a fight, like, people could be like, "Oh, don't do that to me," and it can sound totally different to the
Yeah,
neighbor next door, right? Um but yeah, that also is what kind of makes me feel a little safer in apartment buildings, is like someone will know if something weird happens.
mm-hmm.
Whereas like I love the idea of like living isolated in a house, but that also scares me because that's where all the fucking murders happen.
Yeah,
And I don't want to get murdered because
yeah.
there's so many entryways that someone can come into a house. Like there's just, I don't know. It's a little freaky.
And when you're in a house, like you're kind of isolated, like if you haven't, like, I don't know what my neighbors are doing when we lived in suburbia, like I don't know what's up with them or who's coming over, who's leaving. Like it's more disconnected.
Yeah. So it's kind of freaky because like I love that idea after living in the city for a while. Like I love the idea of like privacy would be nice because it's so annoying like getting messages from your building, or like, oh, a neighbor complained about this. Like there are certain limitations of like, oh, I can't just like have a party till whatever time I want to because my neighbor
Yeah.
will like rat on you or something, but or there's just like stupid petty shit that goes along with like condo and apartment living. That's just ridiculous and annoying to me. And it makes me feel like, oh, I just want to live nowhere in privacy, but then also that scares me too, because it's just like, but the murders, because
Yeah.
that's where shit goes down.
Yeah. And I really, because I lived in suburbia like for a majority of my life, but I really don't want to live in a suburb. Like I either want to live in a condo or in a house downtown, or I want to live like on an island by myself.
Yeah.
Like one or the other.
Yeah. Or like
Um,
where like I don't see my neighbors kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess there's pros and cons with both of them, but I think I do like the whole city living especially when we're younger, you know, like I think when we're older and we like um have a gun or you know, like feel more, not a gun, but like I'm trying to say like feel more confident with like, you know, like bashing someone's head in. I think I would kind of have like a hard time. I would be really scared if somebody like bombarded into my apartment.
Yeah. I don't know though. I think those situations are like you never know how you're gonna act. You just like act. Like it's literally like
Yeah.
fight or flight. Like your mind
Yeah.
just somehow knows what to do, or like your body knows what to do. I don't know. You just know how to react to those things in the situation.
Hmm.
But it is weird. Like you wouldn't really expect it. Like if someone just walked in, I would say, "Oh, that's probably John."
Hmm.
Like you don't really expect it to be someone else, but
Yeah. I always think about that because like Yasha will go work and whatever, and then he comes back at like whatever time in the early morning. And so when I'm in bed, I think about like, what if someone random just crawled into bed with me?
that's terrifying. Why would
And
you
then you like, you know, you feel someone cuddling up to you and then you roll over and it's like not who you expect. It's like,
yeah.
oh, I'm naked right now. Cause that's something else that I think about. What if you were like in the shower and someone came in? Like you are so vulnerable when you're naked. How are you gonna attack somebody when you're full on like
When I was younger, growing up, because growing up, we were in like an older home, and like you remember where my house was. And so it was older and bigger and like isolated. You couldn't really see your neighbors and stuff. And so often when I was home alone and like showering at night or something, like in high school, I would always think that. And this was like before meme time. And then the meme came out where it was just like, when you hear a noise and you're in the shower and then you think, oh God, I'm gonna die naked. Like that literally, I would think that all the time in the shower. Like if I hear a noise, I would like start to hurry up because it's just like
aw.
the most scary, vulnerable feeling of like I have to defend myself naked. Like how am I?
Yeah.
There's so many other things to take care of now. Like how am I going to do that? Like there is something very fearful. Even today, when I'm in the shower, I shut the door so I could hear if someone's going to open it because sometimes like John will sneak in and, like, he's not mean to, like, scare me, but I've been scared in the shower before. I mean, that's just happened, but, um, he will kinda come in and just put his head in and be like, "Hey," and then it scares the crap out of me, like, I
Yeah.
hate being startled in the shower. I don't know.
Especially when your eyes are closed and you're washing your hair and then you open your eyes and somebody's like, "Hi."
No, if I he did that to me. If I know he's coming in and, like, I, like, quickly rub my eyes so I can see again in the shower. I
Oh.
don't know why, I just, like, have this fear of, like, dying in the shower, being scared in the shower. It's just, like it's horrible.
I have that too if I hear Nasha coming because he purposely tries to scare me. But
I would
in
not
our
be able to live
bathroom,
with Yasha. I would not.
I know
But
he's something.
spooky.
Um, love him to death, but yeah, he loves to scare me. I'm starting to get used to it, but in our bathroom, it kind I don't know if it's like the lighting situation, but like whenever somebody comes in, you see a shadow against the curtain.
Yeah,
Like it gets darker all of a sudden. So like I know when he's there, even if he was really quiet.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, if it wasn't him, that'd be another story.
But I'm also, like I'm such a scaredy cat with stuff like that. Like, my mind and I think it's just because I have, like, a wild mind, like, I let my imagination run. Which is just not good. Like, I even remember and this is why I think, like, murders in house because like, the house I grew up in, like, I would be scared like, it made I don't know, we always would call it, like, a haunted house because it just made different sounds. It was older, so, like, in the winter, like, the water would freeze in the pipes, so, like, you would hear it dripping and, like, the walls would crack kinda
Oh
thing.
my gosh.
And so when people come over, they were kind of freaked out. I'm like, "Oh, it's just like the walls talk, you know? They just, like, crack and stuff, like, they're just old." But when I was home alone, like, I would turn off the lights and, like, run up my stairs and run to bed, like, I was always, like, such a chicken, like, I don't know, your mind just kinda runs with you. You just
Yeah.
think, like, when the lights are off, you just imagine or, like, you see a shadow and you're like, "Oh, what if that was a person?" And you just start to scare the shit out of yourself and, like, I don't know.
I'm still like that.
No, I'm still kind of not really in my apartment. I feel really safe in the apartment. Like I don't really get scared of things. But
Yeah, not in my apartment, but like if I'm ever at my mom's house by myself,
yeah,
like a few years ago, they went on vacation and I was house sitting. And I was always on edge in this house because, first of all, when you're used to living in an apartment and then you go to this huge house and stay in it by yourself, like it's different, you know? Like I was on edge the entire time.
oh,
And you would hear like, even if it was like people outside talking, it sounded like they were in the house. So I was always like, and then I'd have to go see where they are. Like it was not fun. I was just on edge. And so at one point I went out to get some food and then I came back and my mom just got one of those like doorbell camera things. So it has like a sensor and it gives her a notification on her phone whenever someone comes up to the door. And so here I am like on edge and I'm like walking up the stairs, going through the front door. And then I just hear this booming voice because my mom screams like I do when we talk. And she's like, "What did you get?" Through the doorbell. And I literally jumped and I was like, "Oh my God, like I'm actually gonna kill it." Like I was so scared because imagine just like being fearful the whole time and then all of a sudden you're bombarded with this voice like, "What did you get?" And then she starts laughing. I'm like, "You actually have no idea. I've been scared this entire time and you just threw me over the edge."
that is scary. That's not cool.
I was so mad. I literally walked up to the doorbell. I was like, "Why would you do something like that?" And I just went inside and shut the door.
I would've been like that too. Like when you get caught off guard and startled like that, you get angry like instantly. Like I don't know. I just it's funny though because I grew up being scared like that or just having a wild imagination, but it's because my dad would always do shit like that. Like we would get home from like going to dinner or something, and he would run down to the basement where like the Halloween costumes were, and he'd put on a mask and wait down there for us.
That's
And it was
funny.
just like the most terrifying thing. And today, even if you ask me, be like, "Oh, my kids, they get so scared of the littlest things or spiders or different." But he would literally like go into the basement, put a mask on, and then chase us or like wait and pop out for us. Or if there was a spider, he would grab it and then chase us around the house with it.
That's so funny.
No, it was the weirdest thing. And then he's just like, "Why do you guys get so scared of things? Or you're so fearful?" It's like, because you would chase us and torture us with that. Or I think I told this story before, but in the living room, we had like, well, in the family room, we had like big windows and it faced the backyard and it was all trees and very dark, like when it got dark because there was no light back there. And so one time I was laying on the couch and the couch faces the back of the couch faces the windows. So I'm like looking at the TV, but I'm like laying on the couch. So like the window's here. And all of a sudden this like figure just comes up to the window. And I was like that. And it's my dad. And he was for dinner. So I didn't know he was gonna be back, but it was like the scariest fucking thing. It's like, seriously.
That's so funny.
I'd probably do that shit if I was a parent too. Let's be real.
I was gonna say, like, we'll probably do it too.
I wouldn't scare them though. Like I don't know. I wouldn't like do it if they're like in the shower or like really relaxed. You know, you got to pick your moments.
Yeah.
Or if they're actually
Dash
traumatized
needs
with
to pick his
bugs.
moments after we watch a scary movie.
Yeah.
He'll like
He does.
hide behind doors and stuff.
That's the worst. I always have to watch something good like something light after a scary movie.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
But I
that
really like scary movies.
yeah, me too. They're fun. But John doesn't really scare me. The only things that he'll do is he'll say some like tricky thing. Like he'll be joking around, but he'll be like Satan. And I'm like, "Don't do that." That's like
He's just testing the waters.
I'm like, "Don't say that. That's bad energy." Or like he'll just I don't know, he'll try to like say some demon shit, but I'm just like, "No, no, no. We don't." But he doesn't really like jump out, especially after that one incident of me just like clocking him. I think he knew. He was like, "Oh shit." But I sometimes pop out at him or jump, and it's very funny because do you ever notice that how people react when you jump out at them? So like I hit him, but if I jump out at him or I try to like come at him, he goes like this.
Uh-huh.
And it's the cutest thing. It's like, put him up, like I'm ready to fight. And this is the funniest thing.
That's so cute. I've tried time and time again to scare Nash, and it doesn't work ever. I think I've scared him once in my life.
I feel like I'm with you for the one time we scared him. I think he was coming over
At your place?
somewhere and like you were hidden and you popped out at my place, and that was the good idea because he wouldn't expect you to scare him at my place. I don't know. I just remember
maybe.
scaring him once, but even like him being scared, he was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. When I get scared, I'm like, ah! You know, I like scream and I jump and I flinch like
Heart like stops, but it's not even like a big like I was in the kitchen the other week and I just turned around and John was there and I was like, dear God. Like I just get caught off guard at like the littlest things. And he's like, "Oh, didn't mean to scare you."
It's so cute. So cute. I've scared my mom really good once when I was younger. And it was in Oromodonte when we lived there. I used to take a bus to and from school. And so one day she was like, I'll pick you up because we're going to go to Nana and Papa's. But my mom always runs late. So I was able to walk home before she left. And I noticed the car was open and running. So I knew she probably like forgot something and just ran inside. So I went in the back of the car and laid on the ground.
This is your karma.
And she literally got in the car and she's like, okay. And she's like getting all settled and then she goes and then I'm like, hi. And she was like, oh my God, like she jumped so high, but I was so quiet and I was like trying to contain my laughter, like laying on the ground. She jumped so high. She was like, she got so mad. But yeah, I got her really good.
I feel like you do shit like that to your mom all the time. And this is probably your karma now that you're with Nyasha. It scares you all the time.
Probably. We should call this something like defending yourself naked or something like that. People would be like, what? Click on it.
Shower.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, something along those lines.
Or don't die naked.
I just don't want to die in the shower.
Yeah. Anywhere but the shower.
I don't want to be found like naked. I don't know, but then I guess you're dead. Who cares?
Well, just imagine trying to like swing at someone and your boobs are flying around. Like,
or if I have to run, I'm gonna be like this and running because we'll just bounce. Hopefully, I'm wearing a sports bra that day or something.
Right?
I'd be like, okay, let's go.
Or you're like mid-shave. Like,
ooh,
I just throw the razor probably to start.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I guess. I'd probably take the shower head though, and just like if it was one of those ones that come down.
Yeah, removable ones.
Shower rod.
Nice.
Gotta do. Primal instincts, they just kick in.
Nice. I think I have some scissors in my bathroom, like cosmetic scissors. Just stab.
Yeah. Or you like take off the shower curtain. Like you rip down the shower curtain basically, because that's what you do. You take the shower pole and then you take the shower curtain and you like wrap them in it. So they're like, fancy and, like, and then you like put them down with the shower.
That's a good one.
Thought about this too much.
That's a good one. Put their head in the toilet, flush.
What does that even do? I guess that would just drown you.
Gives you a little facial.
Nasty. Plan your exit marks, kids. Be prepared.
Yeah. Hide a weapon under your bed or have something close by just in case.
Yes. Good tips. Pro tips on how to live in the city.
Have something near at all times.
Yeah. Or take a taekwondo class or a kickboxing class or a self-defense class.
Or just buy some heavy duty pots and pans.
Oh, a frying pan to the face, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Great.
To stay updated with us, follow our Instagram at
Tongueincheek.podcast.